Okay, peeps, welcome back. So, LTCN and GBAT, well, and BCHG and a bunch of other trusts are ripping. So, with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so we're gonna get into the trust, but before we do, I want to give you guys a follow up on AMC. So, as you guys know, Roaring Kitty came out and he basically, does what he does, and there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people that are, on board with this for pumping the price of AMC and GME to the moon. So as you guys can see, I have absolutely added to this position. So now I currently have 521 shares at $7.79. So the cost basis has been reduced by roughly about 25-30%. The stock is down, unfortunately, but again, I've told you guys that likely there is going to be something between a 40 to a 75% pullback each time these have large pullbacks before they rip higher. That's always how it works with these meme stocks or meme coins for that matter. So this is roughly about 4K total investment into AMC. Actually, even considering adding even more than this tomorrow morning and maybe the next morning, because again, at some point these things are going to shake out the shorts and the price is going to absolutely squeeze Lincoln's nuts here all the way to the upside. And we're going to see another big, huge, fat move like this. Okay. So I just want to go over here to the portfolio, show you guys this. Then we're going to take a quick glimpse over the charts so you guys can see down on AMC currently, but the shares are actually legit. You can see the page moving. This is not a screenshot. So here's the portfolio in terms of the grayscale trust. Again, up 3.5% on the day on GBAT. So it's not a huge move, but it's something. Up 40% total on GBAT on this move. I am expecting GBAT to do much more than what it currently has done. We'll go over the charts in a minute. So Meta's up a little itty bit today. Again, I do still think it's trying to break out of that consolidation between the downtrend and the support zone, which we'll get into in a minute. You can see HZEN has popped up quite a bit. So this actually had a pretty explosive move, up 25% on the day. And ETCG up a modest 11%, although $1.29 on the day is not really modest. I mean, if you get this in a stock, it's considered to be a great day. So overall, up 24% on the portfolio. These are kind of laggards. I'm not really counting HZEN because, again, we only have 8 shares. But so let's go over to the charts and first go over to AMC. So the point I want to make about AMC here is, yeah, okay, sure, it looks like it's pulling back. Maybe the shorts and or profit takers were taking profit, getting out for, like a quick scalp. There are people that do that. We've done that as swing traders, looking for 15% moves, so that can happen. But I just want to point out over the long term how this generally works out, okay? So usually, even if there is a big explosive pump, even if there's not a short squeeze, it does not mean that the stock cannot go higher. Like, let's say the squeeze is not as extreme as it was back here. Doesn't mean the stock can't go higher. Okay, if enough people pile in, enough people pump this thing to the moon, it's going to go up, period. Now, question of how much it's going to go up, that's anybody's guess, okay? But if traders are seeing the opportunity on the table to make money on this thing, investors are seeing the opportunity to make money, options traders want to make options on this, buy some calls or something like that, they're going to do it. They're not going to care what the narrative is, okay? We're here to make money. We don't give a crap about what the news has to say. We consider it, we take it into account, but ultimately the decision is almost strictly based on the technicals. So let's get into basically the short and sweet of it here. So pretty much what I'm trying to show you guys is you can see from January, or basically December to January, this thing pumped. Then it had a several month pullback, so down to April, and then the last big pump here from April to June, and another couple month pullback to about another month later had another pop up. So the point I'm trying to make here is basically from January to June is how long the pump lasted. So 5 months on AMC, okay? And we're just now starting to see the move up on AMC and GME. Again, GME was a little bit of a different story. This thing was more immediate, but you can see that AMC was more drawn out. But however, GME did have multiple spikes up here. Again, the fullness of the move did not end until June of 2021. So roughly, again, it took about 5 months. And if I go over to Dogecoin, and again, Dogecoin is basically the king meme coin. Okay, this one's not going to work. So I need to go over here to, let's see if I still have it down here. I think I do somewhere. Yep. So here's Dogecoin. As you guys can see, native crypto is popping off huge. But generally speaking, when these meme rallies start, they don't usually blow up right away. It takes a little while for it to actually take off. Okay. So you can kind of see down here, this was the pandemic low, and then we got the spike up like 4 months later. Okay. Then pulled back, kind of chopped around for roughly about half a year or so before eventually having a massive explosion to the upside. Okay. But even then, that was just the first initial pump. So then again, after that, we had another couple months of pullback and or consolidation. And then we had the second move up, and then again, and then a third move up. And you guys see the point that I'm trying to make here. Okay. So January 2021 to May of 2021, again, just like AMC and GME, this took roughly about 4 to 5 months to play out. So that's the scoop on AMC. Not expecting this thing to do a 4 or 5x overnight. If it does, hallelujah, thank God. I'll cash out and take the profit. But again, I personally do believe this is going to take probably, I'd say at least 2 to 3 months. Okay, maybe 1 to 2 months. So anyways, with that being said, now let's get into the content. So I'm going to cover LTCN, but before I do, I just want to give you guys a quick snapshot of what the other cryptos are looking like. So let's see here. As you guys can see, all of the miners are up. Okay, we do have a call on Mara for a $19 strike, which is, I'm pretty sure if it continues to the upside like this, we're going to get called away. Not going to make as much money, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. We made profit and we got premiums. That's kind of the point of it. So Clean Spark's up, Mara's up, Hut 8's up. I'm assuming that's on earnings. So these are all up double digits with the exception of BTBT, but you guys can see BTBT is also moving up. Again, one thing I've learned over the many years of doing this is that generally speaking, when the price doesn't move in your favor, it usually just requires a little patience. Again, that's not financial advice, but the Dogecoin play took like 6 months to play out, 8 months to play out. ALT and SoundHound was sitting on a drawdown on those for months on end, and eventually it squeezed, made money on the move. Did not buy on the dip when I had the opportunity, which was a mistake because could have made even more money, but it is what it is. So you guys can see the miners are up big today. And then also native crypto is up as well. So Bitcoin's up to 66,000. You can see pretty much all of these different altcoins, meme coins, etc. are up. And that's kind of what's going on right now. So again, the market's pretty much ripped today on the basis that the inflation rate is coming down. Why does this matter? Well, pretty much if inflation's coming down, that lessens the likelihood that the Fed has to hike rates, which again, the markets are bearish on that stance and want to see the Fed cut rates. So when inflation is progressively going down consistently, it's not popping back up at all. That is bullish for the markets. The markets want to see that so that the Fed can cut. So we go back to monetary easing, and then the markets can rip for a true QE bull market. So now let's get into LTCN. All right. So give me a second as I zoom back into the charts here. We're going to fly through this. So you can see once again, the MACD has not touched, or not crossed, I should say. So last time it had a rip, it touched, but it did not cross. Again, we're seeing something very similar. This is a pretty large green candle, although it is on low volume. But again, I wouldn't necessarily say that that means anything. A low volume could be an indicator of a false breakout move, but we don't really know for sure. Okay. Everybody thought it was low volume back here, but turns out this was a great time to buy. And as you guys know, it went from $5 to, what was it, like $50? That's a 10x. So even though the volume was low, still a great time to buy. So the weekly candle does look bullish. The daily candle has had a confirmed breakout, as you guys can see of the trend line. So this is confirmed. And we also have a follow-up confirmation candle here. So there's the breakout candle. There's the confirmation candle. So on the daily, this is actually confirmed. We're about to have a MACD golden cross. Already had the RSI golden cross. So everything on LTCN is looking very bullish right now. Again, we had two scenarios here. A bounce off support and a break at the trend line was scenario number 1, and then a breakdown and bounce off of this white trend line with scenario number 2, looks like we're going to get scenario number 1. All right, so support still is between 2370 to 2660. Again, that trend line's kind of sitting in that support zone. The first profit target swing high up here is $55, or roughly about $55, which again does line up with this control bar up here that we've been talking about, this big ugly looking red bar here with the volume to match, as you guys can see. Once you get past that, you're looking at maybe roughly about $75 to $80, somewhere in there, and then about $100 to $135 on LTCN. So as of right now, I would say LTCN looks very bullish. Again, if you bought and have held down from in the support zone and you ride it to the swing high, you'd be looking at about 117% move. All right, so BCHG, very similar to LTCN. This thing did actually kind of somewhat have a death cross on the MACD and then a golden cross, so it was essentially a fake out. Got a break of that trend line, had a ridiculous move up, and we're looking at something very similar now. So 10.25 is support, 12.5 is the top of the support, and then you have 18 to about 20, and then 24-ish, 23.5, 24 on the swing high up there. So I'm going to go down to the daily now. You guys can see that this thing is actually starting to cross bullish here. So it's barely touching, but it's getting there, okay? And we had a golden cross down here on the RSI. So with that being said, the only thing that's left to see here that we're waiting for confirmation on is a triple golden cross on the EMAs. And as for the breakout, we have our breakout candle here. This is not a breakout candle because it's still below the both the trend line and the EMA. So this would be the breakout candle. Then we need to see a confirmation candle. But I would say it's probably 75-80% bullish right now on the daily. Weekly is looking good. Of course, we still have a couple more days to close above this trend line. And with the way that CPI came out this morning, I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty confident the Fed's they're going to do one of two things, okay? And this is just my thesis. This is not guaranteed to happen. But number one, they're going to come out on the FOMC meeting and say they're not going to raise rates, but they're not going to cut rates, okay? They're basically going to do nothing. They're not going to do anything at all. They're just going to sit back and watch, okay? And they're not going to have any additional commentary. Or number two, they're going to come out and say, we're going to keep rates where they're at. We're not going to cut or hike. And on top of that, we're also considering pricing in more rate cuts for 2024. If this happens, I suspect the markets are going to flip out and go super full degen bull mode going into the month of June. Okay, I know it sounds crazy because June is kind of generally a boring month, but it's kind of what I suspect is going to happen. So we'll see. HZEN, nice big bullish move here. Still need to get above that trend line. So as far as I'm concerned right now, the move is not confirmed. However, on the daily time frame, it does look like we potentially have a confirmation candle here. As you guys can see, it's barely poking its head above that trend line, but it is actually above it. So that would be the breakout candle. We do have a confirmation of the MACD golden cross here. So we just need to wait for a follow-up confirmation on HZEN. And of course, the close on the weekly above the trend line. So 380 to 420 is going to be support, $7 to about $8 resistance, and then the swing high up here is 1050 or so. So just from the breakout point to the swing high, we'd be looking at about a 98% gain. So that's still pretty huge. I mean, double your money. That's never a bad day, right? And then from the support to the swing high is about 163% move. So ETCG, this one did bounce pretty nicely off the EMAs and the bottom of the channel. So I've been telling you guys for a while that 11 to about 13-ish is going to be the support. That's basically this channel right here, which the EMAs are sitting at. And then kind of using this zone up here as a measurement for resistance. So roughly about $17.70 to $20. So pretty much from the current price to the top of the resistance zone is about 58% move. From the bottom of the channel to the resistance zone is going to be about an 80% move. Now, this month, the deadline for the spot Ether ETFs are due. So if they get approved, keyword if, which I'm pretty confident they're going to, there's not a lot of talk about it, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, they may not necessarily get approved this month. They might actually get delayed or rejected and delayed, which, is a pretty common tactic, a well-known tactic of the SEC. When they don't want to approve something, they're not going to say no, they're just not going to approve it. They're going to delay it or something like that. So that could happen, and we could see it later in this year. But if it gets approved this month, I'm pretty confident both Ethereum and Ethereum Classic are going to start ripping to the moon, and we might actually see we might see the Bitcoin dominance start to roll off from that point, because money will flow from Bitcoin into Ether now that the spot Ether ETF is approved, and then we get our alt season. Okay, so that's ETCG. ETH again, we're in a downward channel. Target is the top of the channel, so $30. And then we have a potential cup and handle here as well. Both patterns are bullish. And again, the target for the cup and handle is $54. So as of right now, support's going to be roughly around 17, 18-ish, which is where that little green zone is, to the bottom of the channel, which is going to be roughly about $19.50. So if I were to measure it, let's just say halfway in there, $18 to the swing high, you'd be looking at about 94% to the top of the next resistance range above that one, 159%, and to the cup and handle target, roughly about 200%. So Phil G, this is one I wanted to get in on, but unfortunately missed the opportunity because, I was kind of thinking like, oh yeah, it's going to come back down and touch this little zone here at $40. Yeah, that didn't happen. So unfortunately it reversed early. That's fine. Not a problem. Decided to get in GBAT anyways, regardless of whether Phil G entered the buy zone or not. So not a big deal. Missed it. There's plenty of opportunity out there. But you can see a break of the trend line on the weekly. If I go down to the daily, this is actually confirmed. So I would not say this is a confirmation candle right here, but the price is still technically higher than it was. So that by itself is bullish. But as of right now, I would say probably the touch of this trend line is going to be roughly about where support is in case it comes back down. So $70. And then the swing high up here is going to be about $400. So still a pretty good move, just not as good as it would have been if it had hit the buy zone. So 246% move. And for those of you guys that want to know, that zone over here that I was talking about is roughly about $37 to $40. You guys might want to know that in case it comes back down there. So GBAT, this thing has been absolutely explosive. It looks like we might be getting a golden cross soon on the weekly time frame. Serious green price action going on here. So that's amazing. We had a bullish breakout candle on the weekly. This week could potentially be the confirmation candle. We have 2 days left to be able to see that. So GBAT got the golden cross on both indicators here. The histogram is turning green. The volume is picking up on the bullish side. We are about to have the triple golden cross. We have the double golden cross on the EMAs, about to get the triple one over the next couple of days. Got the breakout of the trend line with the breakout candle here, and then the confirmation candle above the EMAs, and then pretty much the rest is history at that point. So going back here to the weekly time frame, I just want to point out one thing. So we're seeing a little bit of confluence here. Before, on the first breakout, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of green. Sometime between before the breakout and after the breakout, and again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of green before the pullback. As of right now, we are currently at week 2, or, well, I guess if you can't count this green candle right here, maybe we would be in week 3. So at least 2 more weeks of green if we see history repeat. But as of right now, the support is still going to be between roughly about $8 to $10, and the resistance is up here at 31. I think it's possible that GBAT could do a 3 to 5x. So from support to resistance up here is 275% move. If I throw in the fibs real quick from the swing high to the swing low, and again, the last time these things hit the fibs, they were somewhere between the 1.618 and halfway between the two top fib levels here. So if it just hit in between those two at the 2.618, it would put GBAT at a $75 price target, which again is roughly about 4x from the current price, or about a 6x from where we got in. So that's GBAT. GBAT is definitely the most bullish looking one so far. So GLIV looks like it wants to break out. Again, support is between $12 to $15. Swing highs up here at 80. If I go to the daily, this is a breakout candle. As you guys can see here, we still have to wait another day to get the confirmation. I'll just go ahead and do the measure move on this one. This is not really one I'm particularly so interested in, but maybe some people might be. So again, the potential here is 515%, but even from this breakout point, if you guys wanted to play it like this, again, that's up to you. It'd be a 205% move. So G-Link, this one has not moved yet, which, I mean, again, I'm not surprised. This thing went from like $15 to $200, so it's probably going to need a little bit more time to cool off before it breaks out. But support as of right now is $65 to $84. The swing high up there is $220. So just from the current price to the swing high would be about a 130% move. From the current price to the support zone would be about 34%. And from the support zone to the swing high would be roughly about a 215% move. GSOL, again, this one's not moving. I'm not surprised because, again, Solana was running up forever. It was one of the first altcoins to run up when Bitcoin, started running up and the spot ETFs got approved and all that stuff. It was one of the very first altcoins to run. So it's been running hard for a long time. So just my honest opinion, I think this thing's going to need some time to cool off before it picks a direction, which it has done for a while. But again, between now and the end of the year, technically Bitcoin and altcoins are really only supposed to consolidate. They're not supposed to make these bullish moves. So if it did chop around for another couple weeks, wouldn't surprise me. But again, we are about ready to hit the apex of this coiling. So time will tell what's going to happen. But as of right now, support is roughly about $170 to $200. The swing high is $580. Just to give you guys the risk reward ratio here. So the risk to the downside could be as high as 55%. And the move from current price to the upside, just to get back to the high, is 47%. So it's about a 1-to-1, a little bit more risky than rewardy because, again, the swing to the downside is 8% higher than the swing to the upside. But if you wanted to wait for the drop down to support, assuming it does get down there and ride it up to the swing high, you'd be looking at a 215% gain. So GXLM, this thing could break out of this downtrend line and start popping off. Again, if it does, it needs to get above this top trend line here. As of right now, I would still say that the bottom of this trend line is going to be support. So roughly about $30. If it gets below that, probably somewhere around $20. Pick your poison on that. And for the swing high, $70 up here. So just from the trend line to the swing high is about 125% move. From the candle bottoms down there at $20 to the swing high, about a 240% move. Mana, this one is another one that we have that has not quite broken out yet, but you can see these kind of bullish wicks here, and the candles are moving higher, so that could be an early indication. These two candles right here that maybe perhaps we're about to get that big breakout move to the upside. And it's pushing against the resistance. This candle is pushing against it. So it could be knocking at the door to give us that big breakout move any day now. All right, so go down to the daily time frame here, dig into this one a little bit. As you guys can see, it is about ready to hit the apex of the move here. So again, we have a candle outside of the trend line. It's not a super obvious bullish candle, but again, if I really zoom in here, this candle is actually higher than the previous one and also outside of the trend line. So that is still, in my mind, technically considered to be a bullish breakout candle. Now we just need to see a confirmation. So got the golden cross on the MACD and the RSI. Histogram is turning green. That's all very bullish. Still need to see the EMAs up here have a golden cross and need to see a confirmed breakout on the weekly. As of right now, the support is still going to be support, so that's roughly about $18 to $20, and the swing high up here is $70, as you guys can see. So support to the swing high is going to be a pretty large move, about 270%. Zcash, this one is definitely bouncing off the support. The bulls just simply do not want to let this one go. They're trying to squeeze the hell out of the bears right now, and it looks like they might win. So we need to see a break of the trend line here. As you guys can see, there's multiple bouncing touch points off of this support zone here. Let me actually get rid of some of these zones. It's kind of bothering me. All right, here we go. So yeah, okay, that looks about right. So support currently is still going to be between $4.30 to $5, $8 to $9.60 on the resistance, and then roughly about a 10.25 high up there. If this thing starts breaking above this trend line or any of these trend lines on these grayscale trusts, I'll start going over the daily with you guys just to give you guys some updates as to whether this potentially there's an early signal that this thing could be getting ready to break out. So as of right now, the support zone is still going to be support. So that move could be anywhere from 108% all the way up to 122%. And again, that does not include price discovery. I suspect a lot of these probably are going to hit price discovery. I don't know about Zcash, but I'm pretty confident GBAT's going to. Again, this is a very bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows, all the way up, even after the pullbacks. I suspect Mana is also probably going to do it. You can see a very similar pattern here. Kind of trying to see which ones might do it. PhilG might do it, although this one's a little bit uglier. This could be a higher low right here. LTCN, I've already stated my position on that with you guys. BCHG is looking very bullish, higher highs, higher lows. ETH also very bullish, higher highs, higher lows. But again, we still need to see that spot Ether ETF get approved. GLIV, I haven't looked into this one too much, but I'm thinking this one could also have a price discovery not too far off in the future because, again, we have a lot of higher highs, higher lows here. And it hit price discovery this cycle, which tells me that if this is the first time it's happened this cycle, same thing with G-Link here, likely if it is going to go higher, it is going to hit price discovery again. Again, I think GSOL also has the potential. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That wraps it up for this video. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.